That's the second time in a row I did this week. Why don't I take myself off mute? Done over 5,000 of these things, and I'm chatting away, just making the assumption that I'm live. Sorry about that, family. It's all good. Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, our team has reached out directly and indirectly to over 300,000 fathers around the world. Also, I am a featured contributor of the Fly Nubian Queen Network, which is on YouTube. And that channel has 581,000 subscribers. So that's a privilege. Also, I'm saying that word too much. Additionally, that's a better word. Additionally, I am also content creator at Indie Soup Media, which is 1 month old now. We had an Indie Soup team meeting last night, and it's officially 1 month old. And what is Indie Soup Media? Indie Soup Media is an independent content creators network that is powered by a friend of Dr. Vibe, a friend of the Dr. Vibe show, Dr. Tachi out of Florida. And she has about 26 content creators, and there's programming every day of the week. It's growing, but the reach of that platform is over 1 million people. So go check out The Morning Vibe and other great content. Well, The Morning Vibe's on there. Black Canada Talking's on there. I think Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala's there. Now, a lot of my content, but there's also other great content there. So I encourage you to check it out. All right. What else we want to do? Okay. I want to do this. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And also like the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And if you'd like to advertise your business product or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And also join the Morning Vibe Discord groups. Email me again, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com, where we continue the conversation in between Epic Conversations. So I don't know if Ryan's going to be joining us today because, as you know, Friday is his walking the kiddos to school day. And if you're in the Greater Toronto area, wonderful sunny day. A little bit chilly, though. There's frost in some areas of the Greater Toronto area where I live today, but it's nice to have the sunshine out. The grass is green. Actually, was it on Tuesday or Wednesday? Actually, cut the grass, or they say mow the lawn. And I'd say I already have to mow it again. Like the grass is going like crazy. Let's see who's saying hello already. Wayne Harris, good morning, Mr. Harris. Always a pleasure to have you on. And hey, you're back up a week from today. So I'm going to be reaching out to you probably by weekend on your next conversation topic. JJ Mars is in from Colorado. Good Friday morning chat. How are things in the Colorado area? Do you have, the last time I think you were on, you were telling me it was snowing. I hope it isn't snowing in the Colorado area. Brian Smith, you know what? I don't know if this is the first time for you, Brian. If it is, welcome. Always good to have you here. All right, so let's do some catching up things. Should be a great discussion, Nate. It's a great conversation every day. This one's going to be good. Brian Smith says no. Well, hey, first time, and wherever you are watching this, please follow, bookmark, whatever you got to do, because we have epic conversations every Monday and Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, whether it's myself and Ryan, special friends. We have one coming up in a few minutes. Fitness IQ says, Monin, you bet. KS, EYL, RW, FW, FQ, RW. Sorry, let me get that right. So JG Mar says, no snow today, but it'll rain. Well, rain's okay. And bless you right back, Brian. Fantastic. So we got some family on today. As I said, Ryan, we'll see if he's on or not. At Fitness IQ says, I have to catch up with you. Really? You have time for me? Fitness IQ Cam? I'm totally humbled. So on Monday of this week, when we had a great conversation with the team from the Ray of Hope documentary, that spotlights the plight of Tamil Canadians. I had at the beginning, before we chatted with all of them, I asked everybody, I've been invited to this liberal black caucus meeting, taking questions from the media about the recent budget. And I was humming and hawing, saying, I'd been to the two previous ones. I said, the two previous ones were close to me, driving wise. This one was in downtown Toronto yesterday. I'm going at 10 o'clock. I'm going, I don't know if I'm feeling it. So I let the family of the morning vibe decide. And then Ryan said, you know what? You better go. And he says, if you go, I'll pay for your gas and pay for your parking. I said, oh, okay, Ryan, since you're paying for my time, I'm going to go. So go down there. And if you live in the Greater Toronto area, there's probably, from where I live in the east, you usually go down the Don Valley Parkway. So this is getting to this event at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's like rush hour time. So going down the Don Valley, it seems to be smooth, and then traffic slows down. Of course, there's an accident. Fantastic. So I'm going, they wanted me there between 9 and 9:30. That wasn't happening. After I got from the accident, got down there, was paid for parking, which was $23 for 3 hours, which is the going rate. So do the keypad thing to give my license plate. The machine misses the first letter of my license plate. So I go upstairs and say, hey, can I get a refund in any way? Oh, the lady at the main desk says, oh, we don't handle the parking. You're going to have to contact them. So I got to pay another $23. So maybe Ryan will give me $46. Let's see if he does that. But went to the meeting and it was okay. It was all right. A lot of concerns there about housing in Canada, and also a lot of talk about understanding the impact of the new rules and regulations about capital gains tax. There was a lot of discussion about, and a lot of about daycare. It was interesting. Let me just say it was interesting to, of course they said, does anyone have any questions? I asked the first question about media, because the Liberal Black Caucus has been mentioning for the last few years about, there's going to be monies for Black media. So now the stage where it's at is, it looks like it's coming soon. And what they've been telling now is it's not specific for Black media. It's going to be people of color getting media donations, and you have to apply. So I'll take that. I would like it to be specifically for Black media, to be 100% honest with you. It'd be really, really nice, but no problem. Michael Smith says, good morning, all. Brian Smith says, we are in Montreal. Montreal has some relevance in this morning's conversation. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. So Montreal, at least Montreal 2 times in the house. You'll find out what that means. And then, you went fit Nats IQ Cam. Yeah, I went. And so at the end of the conversation, he asked, how was everyone's journey? And now one of the Liberal MPs, Ariel, actually drove all the way from London, Ontario to downtown. I said, you good. I would have taken the train. I said, driving from London, Ontario to downtown Toronto. I didn't even get a chance to ask her what time she left for that. But for me, the main purpose, show my face, get my media question in, and then it sounds like they want to make media appearances. More of the Liberal Black Caucus wants to make media appearances. And it was funny. One of the things that did come out, say, well, how can we be more engaged with you? I said, we have shows. I have a show. And I've known 2 of the members for a long time. Actually, 2 of the 3 people there I knew before they actually got into politics. So here's a little tip. If you want to get close to people in politics, little knowledge here from Dr. Vibe. Don't reach out to them directly. Get a good relation with the people who handle them, the press secretaries. So that was my key yesterday, to get the press secretaries of each one of the people there and get their card, etc. Okay. Yes, that was also mentioned too. Not much in the budget specific for the Black community. Yeah, because I know Ryan, when he was on last week, said about, you don't see the word Black or African mentioned much, and also not a lot mentioned about Black mental health. And so, Brian, you're very observant. They say, except for mental health, there was a little bit mentioned there. We also, one of the people who attended yesterday, is there any way can this get recorded or notes so we can have a little bit of a recap of what was decided or not decided, discussed? So that was the main topic of yesterday. So yes, I did go. I came out alive. And the nice thing is the traffic getting out of downtown was a little bit crazy, but coming home was smooth. So I went, and if Ryan comes on today, I'm going to say, I should have got shown him the receipt. So I'll do that on Monday because he should be here on Monday. Going to show you, okay, you owe me, and I went. Okay. So what else is going on in people's lives this week? Everyone have a good week? Just want to know, we've got a very interesting conversation coming up. All right. JG Mar says, budgets are spending priorities. Black people always tend to be minimized when it comes to that. Oh, our friend that's coming up today may have something additional he may want to add to that. Oh boy. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. And there were one or two people that I had known somewhat off digitally a little bit for the last years. Finally had a chance to meet them face to face yesterday. There were some of the people who I had met, and it was an interesting event. It was cool. All right. So we are going to take a quick break, and then we come back. We're going to be chatting about the story that many, many, many people who look like me are talking about in Toronto, especially over the last, say, 36 hours. Some of us have been talking about it a long time, and it's come to the front line. I'm not going to say what it is. If you follow me on YouTube or on Facebook, you saw the post. But if you haven't, we are going to orient you. Very good story. And we have the author of this story, well, the co-author, the author, and we don't have the contributor, but the co-author of this piece in BuyBlacks.com, at BuyBlacks.com to discuss it. So hold it tight for 2 minutes, and be right back.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harry Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm one of the Harry Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the just people that, don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say, everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, V-I-B-E. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
What is up? As always, shout out to Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins for their support of the Dr. Vibe show and Dr. Vibe, and we support them back 100%. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because they are friends of the show, Go Plant-Based Expo for all things plant-based, Sunday, May 5th, little over a week, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 1867. Man, that sounds like a year thing. 1967 was Canada's Confederation. Valley Farm Road, Pickering. And there is the URL address. I'll certainly share that in the comments section during our conversation. Also, just want to give it more good stuff here, so you can go see it. There we go. It's on the screen, so that's how you can check it out. So make sure you check it out. Plant-based. I'm probably going to be making a little stop by before another event I have to go to that day. So that is it. Okay. Well, it's about that time. So as I mentioned on the front end of today's conversation, the story that is burning up is the situation with the BBPA. For those who are not familiar, the BBPA is the Black Business and Professional Association. They have been a nonprofit organization at least for about 40 years in the Canadian landscape to help to businesses and entrepreneurs, etc., etc. Well, this week, actually yesterday, hot off the press, story written by Blacks, nearly a dozen BBPA members call for an entire board to resign over the allegations of misappropriation of funds. So a little background on this. I'll maybe read a little bit from it, but it's funny. There was a story released at 4:30 yesterday by CBC, Canada's national broadcast network, fully funded. And I read it and I go, okay. So then when By Blacks released their story, it went full in. So I encourage everybody to read both stories. But if you want a full and deeper read, go to byblacks.com and read this story. Go to byblacks.com to read it. Now, I'm going to just read a little bit of it, and we have the author of it, Perry Douglas, is going to be with us in just a second. Also contributions by Camille Douglas, who is one of the two driving forces behind byblacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine, herself and Roger Dundas. So I'll just read a little bit of it, and we're going to bring Perry on. So a Toronto business owner has issued a call on behalf of a group of members of the Black Business and Professional Association. In a statement sent to byblacks.com on April 22nd of this year, Chandran Fernando said, quote, "The current board directors must be removed and replaced," unquote. Mr. Chandran Fernando says, and supporter and investor in Black-owned organizations and initiatives across Canada and the United States for more than 25 years, unquote. He says that he is speaking on behalf of nearly a dozen concerned members of the BBPA who have chosen to remain anonymous at this time due to their fear of reprisal. In a statement, Fernando says, quote, "It has come to my attention that using a significant portion of its government grants, sponsor donations, and all other funding, the board awarded contracts to companies controlled by the former president and CEO, Nadine Spencer, without appropriate due diligence. Contracts appear to have been improperly awarded to former board members, breaching BBPA's procurement and conflict of interest procedures," unquote. Chandran also says, quote, "Members have petitioned the current board to disclose all necessary documents to facilitate a comprehensive third-party financial and operational audit of the BBPA. However, our requests for this information have not been granted," unquote. A further statement has also been published on a newly created website called accountabilitycouncil.ca, where concerned community members can sign up to learn more. The BBPA is one of Canada's largest running Black charities and arguably the most prestigious. So how did we get here where the board is being accused of major issue of taxpayers' money? So I could go a little bit further, but we're going to bring up Perry Douglas. For those who don't know, Perry is a longtime friend of the Dr. Vibe Show, Morning Vibe, etc. He is the author of this article with the help of Camille Douglas. So Perry, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. You know, like I said, I'm in Montreal. It's beautiful. You know, I took a nice walk today, and you know, had my coffee and croissant like I do in Montreal. So it's all good, man.
You got your energy ready for this conversation, sir?
I'm always ready, man. Ever ready, man.
Well, now it's interesting. Before we go any further, Wade Harris calls this Black Watergate.
That Harris guy. I was a comedian, part-time comedian at Harris guy.
Yes. And he also says, and I could read the article further, but it was Harry Jerome's daughter wants his name removed from the BBPA out. So there's more on this. So
Yeah.
let's start off this. When you were approached by Blacks to write this article, what was your initial response?
My initial response talking to Camille and Roger, it was like, I saw this coming, right? But at first I was hesitant about, writing the article just because I didn't, for me, I'm a facts-based guy and I like to have all the facts. So it says Perry Douglas is the author there of the article, but really Camille Dundas, extraordinary journalism, extraordinary investigative journalism. So when I saw the evidence that, and when I saw that, I think it's a 15-page letter from Miller Thompson, I was like, okay, let's do this. But to be quite honest with you, and Camille will tell you, I even talked to my wife, it took me about a week to get my head around what I wanted to write, because I just didn't want to write something I don't want to write. My writing has to have some meaning and some value and to teach. So I just didn't want to write some type of scandal article. I wanted to write something that we as a community can learn from, right? So it was a struggle for me to put it together, but it came out and so far we've had some really good responses to it.
Okay. Why was it a struggle other than the facts base that you wanted to make sure? Was there any other struggle initially or during this process?
The struggle is actually, no, there wasn't a struggle because I've been pretty straightforward. I've always said one of the things that's happened after George Floyd is that the Black community has become distracted, and we've gone into an alternative universe that doesn't exist. And what we've done is we've created a construct of fantasy where you have something where the government wants to give money to help close the wealth gap to Black, and in order to do that, that needs entrepreneurship in order to do that, which is a great idea. And the government funding that and giving money to that was also a great idea. But what I couldn't understand was you want to give money to help close the wealth gap and you want to give money to entrepreneurs, but you give money to an intermediary of nonprofit organizations where people have no idea of venture capital, people have no idea about what entrepreneurship, and these are social organizations. And I went on the website, the Black Ecosystem website, and they're giving it to basketball organizations. I mean, this world is upside down, right? It's utterly ridiculous. So if you go, for me, I'm a historian. So if you go back in history, and if you take what has happened after independence in Africa, after independence in the Caribbean, and still going on today, right? What you have a system where these so-called elites come in, right, as intermediaries, right? And what they do is they essentially, money is given, and they essentially take the money, and this corruption takes place. Now, let me be clear. This is not unique to to the BBPA or Black people in Canada or Black people in general. Corruption is corruption, and it happens to Black, white, all over the world, okay? But it doesn't mean that when we see that as a community, we sit silent, because what it does, it hurts us dramatically. Because entrepreneurs have not, at the end of the day, entrepreneurs have not gotten the money. And there's no growth. We see businesses have not been created. And if the allegations, and their allegations, if the allegations are true of what happened in the BBPA, and let me just say from the onset, they're allegations, and these people deserve the right okay, to defend themselves, and they have all the right to due process, right? We live in a society of laws and rules, and they have all the rights to due process. Okay, so these are allegations. But at the end of the day, the Miller-Thompson letter is very clear. They have breached the Canadian Charities Act in regards to, board members, financially benefiting from monies of the organizations, particularly government funding. And that fundamentally is the problem. Doesn't matter what they did with the money after that. At the end of the day, they breached the income tax laws and the governance laws. And that's a fact that nobody can get around.
Okay. And there's some comments here that people are making on the side. So let me just address them right here. Brian Smith says the funding stream will be turned off next year, March 31st, 2025. Where are the results?
No results.
He also, okay, so we got this here. Also, Tim Frey, good to have you here as always, Tim. Hey, Perry, have you checked out any other Black nonprofit organizations or charities that are currently facing similar issues with suspicions of misappropriation of funds?
Let's just say, stay tuned to Buy Blacks. There's a lot more to come. And it's like, I'm not an investigative journalism. I'm just a guy in search of the objective truth. There's more to come.
Okay. Good to have Andrew Bromfield here. Good man. Yeah. He says this was never a serious program. It was announced 2 weeks before the government was set to resume after being prorogued to block the WE scandal investigation. I said it at the time. Tricks are for the kids. Wayne Harris says board governance, checks and balances, separation of church and state with the accounting. So let me ask, what are some of the concerns that you have with the alleged allegations?
Yeah, the concerns I have is a fundamental mental mindset problem that we have in our community, right? And the reason why it's important to bring these issues forward is that there's only one universe. There's only one world. Since George Floyd, the Black community have been suckered into these programs about entrepreneurship and creating wealth. Wealth is fundamentally created through entrepreneurship, and intergenerational wealth and opportunity is created by entrepreneurship. And you can only do that in the mainstream. So you have to have an attitude. If I'm a business owner who happens to be Black, you can't, what has happened is all the banks and the governments have given funding to, and they've created a new group of what I call the nonprofit elite. No experience in venture, never run a business. These are organization people in the nonprofit space or self-declared nonprofit space since the government has been giving away money. And these people are acting as intermediaries between government funding, or whatever funding is there, and entrepreneurs. But the money never gets to the entrepreneurs. If you want to create wealth and you want to give opportunities to Black entrepreneurs, then give them the money directly, right? The problem is that we have these so-called nonprofit leaders have put a paternalistic overcloud on Black people. What I mean by that is that, Black people are there, they don't know, they're not smart enough, they're not financially literate enough. What are you talking about? We have the same brain as every other group of people in the world. And this paternalistic views means that, we're going to give it to a bunch of intermediaries who present themselves, as really smart, well-intentioned people, but it's not. It's a fraud, because these people are only there to create jobs for themselves, right? So what in the real world, how venture capital works or private equity works is that if a Black business owner has an idea or an entrepreneur has an idea, who has the money? Allow that entrepreneur to sit in front of that person and make your pitch, do your presentation, whatever, and see if you get the capital. So if the government has that 100 and something million, create something where the entrepreneur can be directly and decisions are made directly. Why you would give all this money to people and the government hasn't even vetted the resumes of these people, right? And it's crazy. So what I'm trying to say, we have to live in the real world. And in the real world, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to get into entrepreneurship and you got to fight. It's hard. It's not fair. Okay. They've made entrepreneurship as it's a thing. Hey, become an entrepreneur. Let's do this. Like there's a program. No, it's flipping hard. I'm an experienced guy. I'm an entrepreneur. It's flipping hard. But guess what? If you want to be rich, okay, everybody can't be rich. Okay, so the mindset of us is we have to get out of this paternalistic situation, this neocolonialism attitude that we have to have somebody governing us. We can govern our damn selves. Thank you very much.
Okay, good stuff. Got lots of people in here. Hey, make the comments, especially if you're watching live. There's piles of comments. I've put a lot of information out in comment sections as it is. There's the information for Buy Blacks where you can get a hold of them. Web, Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, YouTube channel, etc. That's in the comment section. Here's contact information. Perry does a lot of writing and does a lot of stuff online. There's his contact information. It's in the comment section on all the platforms you're watching, except Ryan's LinkedIn. So let's get some more comments going here because I know there are people that have a lot of things to say. Here we go. Brian Smith says the government has their own agencies in place to monitor organizations that receive support. They have failed. It's going to become a blame game. Ray McMillan, always a pleasure to have Ray. He says, good morning. Great point, Terry. Quote, forced, unquote, Black entrepreneurship is not the solution, narrowing the interracial wealth gap. Go out and compete and win or lose in the real marketplace.
100%.
Brian Smith says, excellent points. Jade Phoenix, great points. What else we got? Lots of comments coming in. All right. So let me ask, do you want to go through your article and discuss some of the alleged allegations and why they're of a concern?
I mean, what I would say, right, is that the allegation is, the article is in depth, right? It's detailed. It's pure factual. The investigative journalism from Camille Dundas in her part of the article is really good. We've even taken the letter from the lawyers, and we've screenshot it onto the screen. So I think what I always advise people is to go read it for yourself, right? Go read it for yourself and form your own conclusion. What I would like to focus on, right, is more of the lessons that we can learn from this as a community, right? I mean, I've heard, one person say, well, couldn't we keep this secret? Couldn't we?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I'm hearing on the back channel. So no, we shouldn't be putting out our laundry out in public, this sort of thing, etc. What is your response to that?
That's been the problem with us for the longest time. We don't take responsibility. Okay, we don't take responsibility for our actions, and we're always blaming others for our situation. We first have my grandma. Listen, I'm from Grenada. I'm from the country. I'm a country boy. My grandmother said, before you go out and run your mouth, you better get your own stuff straight, and you better have your information right. So my thing is, it doesn't help anybody, okay, if people are not held accountable, right? Because what we are living, if we allow this to not be brought out in the sunlight, right? And the sunlight is the cleanser. What happens is that we continue to live a lie. We continue to live a lie of not taking responsibility. We continue to live a lie of not self-examining ourselves. One of the beautiful things, You know, for me, I follow a lot of the philosophy. I read philosophy and all that. And one of the things in philosophy and life is personal responsibility. Once you take personal responsibility for things, things can happen in your life positively. But if you hide things consistently, okay, your entire existence is built into covering things up. You never have time to flourish. So for those who say we should keep this a secret in the community, that doesn't help us. I'm about helping people. I'm about looking at the objective truth. I'm about speaking truth, right? I may not always be right, as my beautiful wife, reminds me. But at the end of the day, we have to be honest with ourselves. We can't move forward in life as a people, okay, until we become honest with ourselves. Because if we move forward on false pretenses, we're just setting ourselves up to fail. So 100%, these things have to be brought into light. But there's also, as my good friend Ray Williams says, it's also an opportunity for rebirth and regeneration.
Okay. All right. So Matrix 360 says fire on point. Andrew says this was also intentional. Those in government knew a boondoggle was imminent. That we have managed to discredit Black entrepreneurs to Canadian taxpayers who are also consumers. Jade Phoenix says you should also look into FACE. What happened to the 160? Is that, I guess you're referring maybe $160 million? Says Chandran is on, and Mr. Douglas, you said to so directly, and we thank you. Wayne Harris says the legacy of organizing Black business in Toronto was the BBPA. It was designed to be somewhat of a clearinghouse for accessing the Black community. Back in the day, that might have been fine. He also says disintermediation is the word.
Yeah.
What they did can be handled directly by the entrepreneurs.
Yep. No, 100%. I want to just say something about the BBPA. Don't forget, BBPA was founded by Denham Jolly, right? Yeah. I know Denham Jolly actually went to McGill with his daughter, and Denham Jolly is an OG. He is an OG. He is an entrepreneur, came from Jamaica. He actually went to McGill too. And he created businesses. He was a warrior. He was the most authentic you can get. And to see what these people have done to Denham Jolly's legacy, it's terrible. I mean, these Black people came from the Caribbean, and they worked hard. They were discriminated against. They did all this. He worked hard to put the BBPA together. And these people disrespected Denham Jolly's legacy. And for that, they need to pay. If you do not pay for these things, then we keep going. If there's no accountability, this thing keeps, then we as a community become a laughingstock. We have to have some form of respect for those who came before us and those who've worked hard for us and put the path for us. But if these allegations are true, and I urge people, read the letter and read what the lawyers say in that letter and the allegations. I mean, the more I read that, the more angry I became, right? And thank God Camilo's a good editor, because there was a lot in that article that came out. If you know me, I don't mince words, right? So it's a great job.
Right. So for everyone who's watching live or on the replay, I've put the link to the article in the comments section, which is on all the platforms except Ryan's LinkedIn, because I don't manage Ryan's LinkedIn, so I can't put it on there, but you should have it now. So some more comments. Okay, entrepreneurs. Andrew goes, Everyone sees the laundry. Who are we fooling?
Correct. Very correct.
No, Matrix 360 says regarding why laundry in public, Lulu goes, hiding the dirty laundry only enables corruption. Do you want to add on to that?
100%.
Okay, we got that. Shirley J from Black Canadian Content Creators, you missed the first 30 minutes. Well, you're here now, which is the most important thing, but go watch the replay. So Wayne Harris says, do other groups air their laundry publicly? Do other groups do that? If we don't do it, nothing changes. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, I listen, to that point, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if other groups do that, or I don't care. I only care about my community. Okay, I can't be fighting for everybody. I care about my community. And I don't see this as dirty laundry being aired in public. I see this in the public interest. And the fact of the matter is, the problem with this, right, is that this is still taxpayers' money. Okay, it's still taxpayers' money. And you have an obligation as a citizen of Canada, okay, if you've gotten money, you know, and I don't blame the government, right? The government, in life, things transact based on trust. That's how the banking system works. That's how things, like, at the end of the day, works on trust. So when the government gives you money, which comes from taxpayers, the government is saying, hey, blacks have been unjustly treated based on slavery. I heard Trudeau's speech when he announced this stuff, and the justification for this was, you know, we're going to give you money. You know, people, I think, were okay with that. Okay, so the thing about it is that when you have taxpayers' money, you have to be careful and you have to understand that you become stewards of this money. So I'm not concerned about what other groups, you know, are doing. I'm concerned about my own standards and my own responsibility and my own ethics. That's what I care about. And for our community, we have to stop becoming dependent on others. Okay? I mean, not saying don't take the money, of course, right? But we have to stop becoming dependent on others to give us money and become independent. And really, at the end of the day, we need to be invested in ourselves. You know, let's take, you know, Wayne brought up other communities. Let's take other communities, all other communities, whether for immigrant communities, whether it's Greek, Italian, Chinese, Indian, or whatnot, they all come here as immigrants and they invest in each other. Okay, a Jewish community, somebody has an idea, they invest in each other. But what we are doing now is we are not investing in each other. Okay, investing in Black entrepreneurs. What we're doing is we're looking to the government, okay, to hand out money. And what we're doing is we are creating organizations. A lot of these organizations are bogus, okay, in order to get grants, okay, to do nothing. Two entrepreneurs contacted me. One, actually, many people have been contacting me, but one stands out. One entrepreneur said that she was trying to work with the BBPA to do some services, and she couldn't understand all the services that she was presenting to the BBPA. You know, the BBPA would all of a sudden do it and then come back to her and say they have no money for that. She said to me, you know, Perry, since George Floyd, this is blood money. People have used George Floyd. It's blood money. People have used George Floyd's death to get money to fund their own selves and their own lifestyles. Let's be honest about that. That's what people have been doing since George Floyd. They've been using George Floyd because before George Floyd, they weren't there. Since George Floyd now, you know, everybody shows up. Everybody has a nonprofit. Everybody has an idea. Okay, I'm focused on the people who was there before doing the hard work, and I'm going to give, you know, a shout out to my own family member, my cousin Debbie Douglas, for example, who runs an organization in Toronto, and by the way, she's getting the Order of Canada very soon. So hey, I got to brag. It's my family. But the point is, those people who've been doing the work before, okay, all of a sudden, forget about them. It's all these new fancy, you know, self-created people, self-created leaders, okay, come to the forefront because the government's giving out money. The big Canadian banks are giving out money, Okay. And these things are unsustainable because they're not real. And another entrepreneur said to me this morning that, you know, he has the business, he's been trying to get money. This money from government has come out, but he sees no venture capital money coming downstream where he can access it. You know, he's catching hell. And he said to me, he doesn't understand. All these organizations have no experience in venture capital, private equity. Okay, how could they be, you know, stewards of money and investors? But I think that's the point. They are not, and this is why it's not sustainable. And the reason why that the ecosystem fund is not going to be refunded, because the government has seen, okay, that it's not working and there's no compliance. We are only on the tip of a little bit of investigation, where a lot of these people that's listed on the ecosystem who've gotten money, a lot of them are not filing. So, for example, if you get a $3 million grant, you get $1 million, and then you have to file reports, you have to audit reports, you have to do all these things. People are not doing it. They're not filing quarterly reports. There's no governance. It's a mess. And from what I've heard, what I've heard, there has to be further investigation. But what I've heard, there's been some situations where, you know, some groups get $1 million and they're ghost. They're ghosts. Ooh, they're gone. Okay. Listen, you're dealing with taxpayers' money here. Okay. We can't be seen. This is not good for us. So if we don't stop this, and if we as a community don't speak up and say, hey, this is not right, and we demand accountability and responsibility, that can only make us look good in the public eye. Okay. But if we go ahead and make excuses for people who are allegedly doing wrongdoings, okay, that's going to be terrible for the rest of the community. You have so I want to just be clear, you have lots of good organizations out there, Black organizations out there doing good work. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the post-9 George Floyd era nonprofit organizations who say they can help to build profit for entrepreneurs. Those are who I'm focusing in on.
Okay. All right. Matrix 360 says the laundry happened in the sunlight because the current board refused to take responsibility and be accountable, and the media needed to help to instigate the convo. So thank you, Camille and Perry. David Hughes, all the way from Australia. Good to see you, David. Says it's been a long time, Dr. Vibe, and I apologize for my absence. Neocolonialism is everywhere, and your guest is on the money with his comments. Erase the middleman.
Yeah, and I want to just follow on that. Okay. David makes a very good point, because what David is talking about is a fundamental structural problem in post-colonial societies. Okay, so the attitude is we still live in a colonial society. So even if you come from the Caribbean and you're in Canada, even Black people, okay, white supremacy doesn't work if Black people don't believe it, right? So we are supporters of white supremacy, too. So Dave makes a very good point, because colonialism, okay, is still in our mindset, and neocolonialism, let's be clear, neocolonialism has come after colonialism, which is the control of people no longer by force, okay, or no longer by force and armies, but now by money. So the UN, the United Nations does that. All these organizations do that. So they would give these developing countries, for example, in the Caribbean, money, and they would control them and tell them what to do. So the neocolonialism attitude is still here, where the government now says, we're going to give you money, but we still want to control it, and we're going to put up these organizations. And this is the important point. We're going to set up these organizations who we can control, right? Because they can't control the entrepreneur. So this is in a big picture, neo-colonial context of what is happening. So it's a structural problem. It's this legacy that goes back, and we have to understand. If we don't understand how our subconscious mind works, then we will never be able to create the mind we need to to thrive in the 21st century.
Okay. Comments are flying in, so let's see if we can do a catch up. So Jade Phoenix says you should also look into FACE. What happened to the $160 million that was committed to the Black community? All these organizations need to be held accountable. Michael says we need to expose those doing wrong, or they continue to do us wrong and to our greater detriment.
100%.
Brian says we have been learning these lessons for decades. The BBPA should be the pride and jewel of the community across Canada. The project had millions injected into help the community. People deserve to hear the truth about the taxpayers' money. Do you think the BBPA can recover its reputation after these allegations?
No. So what has to happen with these things is that it has to be dismantled and reconstructed with a proper strategy. So my business is in strategy development. So basically what has to happen is we have to figure out what is the strategy? What is the purpose of this organization? What are we going to, we have to work backwards. What do we want to do? What are the challenges of the 21st century? We have to first identify those challenges. And then once we've identified those challenges, we construct an organization to meet those challenges. So if the challenges is for helping, Black entrepreneurs and it's for helping Black owned businesses, if it's the challenges in moving forward, wealth creation and whatnot, then the organization has to be structured in that capacity. And the other thing is, how does that organization sustain funding? How does that organization get money? Okay, because the problem that we have now, as you see in the last budget, the government for this ecosystem thing, the government's not giving any more money. That money's done. So what you'll see is all these organizations, once the money, Brian Smith is right, once the money leaves, is done, the tap is turned off, all these organizations disappear. And then what happens, it becomes a political issue, and you can guarantee the conservatives and Poilievre will find this issue and slam it, and good luck, even if a liberal government is elected again, good luck, Black people get anything. Okay, because it's like Andrew Bromfield is also right. It's like you guys took the bait. You took the bait like suckers. You took the bait and you couldn't help yourself, right? And that's the problem when we have a society of fake leaders. We have fake leaders, and these fake people continue to talk nonsense, go on social media and take pictures and want to be seen. And they have no substance, they have no backative, they have no objective truth that they can put forward. Okay, and it's frustrating. So look, at the end of the day, this had to happen. Unfortunately, it had to happen because it was a significant opportunity, right? But it was squandered by these intermediaries. And again, from a strategy point of view, when I look at this as a business problem, from a strategy perspective, the government needs to address their strategy in how they fund and why they fund and how do they
evaluate
and link in and how do they evaluate and link that valuation so they can have some form of governance in real time, and that's really important in the 21st century. You need to keep a track, because the government has to answer to taxpayers, right? The government has to answer to taxpayers. So who have gotten government's money, you have to answer to the government, which is fine, okay? Which is fine. Everybody in life has to answer to somebody, okay? So I just don't think we understand how the real world works. There's procedures, there's laws, there's things we have to do, okay? We can't always be blaming racism. No, we have to get out there and exist in the real world. Racism exists. But guess what? Barack Obama could become president, okay? Guess what? Robert Smith can become a Black billionaire. My old boss, Michael E. Chin, could become a billionaire. So just stop it with your being like, my kids are not being taught that they are victims. And what is happening with organizations, these nonprofit organizations on entrepreneurship, what ends up happening is they're creating a victimhood culture. So that victimhood culture now is like, oh, somebody owes me something. The government owes me something. Nobody owes you nothing. Okay? You got to get out there and prove yourself every single day. That's life. That's life. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, okay, that's what you have to do. So, the sad thing about it is that, my friend Michael Smith told me today, Montreal told me today, he said to me, it's a shame. We have no results to prove after the government has given all this money. We have no results. It's embarrassing. And the other thing is, here's the other thing, and my friend Andrew Brownfield says this a lot too. It becomes embarrassing for a Black entrepreneur, let's say for myself, because when you go out and let's say if you're in a pitch meeting and you're dealing with people, they'll mention, oh, well, didn't the government or didn't the banks put aside a special fund for you guys to get money? So why are you kind of coming to us? And then it makes us look like we're not competent. So what it ends up doing is the legitimate entrepreneurs out there get hurt by all the bogus that's taken place. So what happens is that you are hurting the legitimate people in a society. So it's our responsibility to speak up and say, hey, this is not right. We don't condone this. And these people have to pay for what they did. And that, okay, taking accountability and responsibility, okay, for your own community, that I believe will help us with Canadians, because these things are going to be an election issue without a doubt.
100%. 100%. I think I'll just add in two little quick things, because a lot of comments here, and I hope you've got a few more minutes.
Oh, I got time, man.
Okay, so just a little insight on Denim Jolly, and people may or may not know this. I've mentioned it before. My father and Denim Jolly have known each other for over 70 years.
Wow.
They went to high school together at Cornwall College
yes.
school in Jamaica, all boys school. They only known each other since then. In fact, when my dad came up here and his brother told Mr. Jolly, come on up here, there's opportunity here.
Yep.
Denim Jolly's first job in Canada was a teacher.
Yes. I know that.
Okay.
Yes.
So a number of years ago, myself and an associate, we went down to visit Mr. Denim Jolly. Great conversation until I asked Mr. Jolly this question. Here's a man who founded one of the founding members of the BBPA family. Listen to this. And this is a few years ago. Mr. Jolly, what is it with African Canadian organizations and money? And he looked at me like he was going to pull a gun and shoot me.
That's Jolly. He don't fool around.
Right? So this is a few years ago.
Yeah.
Before George Floyd. So he has seen things.
Yes.
So this is not a surprise.
Not a surprise to him, no.
Right? Like, I actually called him about this. He said, I don't want anything. I'm done.
He's done. He's old now. He doesn't want to be bothered.
Right. But so just that insight is enough. And as Perry mentioned, this is going to have a shrapnel effect.
100%.
For a lot of organizations out there. If you're running a nonprofit, my suggestion is you better make sure you got your things straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because not only the CRO probably looking into this,
yes,
but a lot of the public is going to be looking at
yes.
it now.
And the banks are going to come.
So unfortunately, these are allegations, but just they are allegations, but the bad noise is out there now. And
we should also say there are many Black organizations that are solid,
but they're going to get hurt.
Yes, 100%. They're going to get hurt.
No, the allegations.
Yes,
you don't know if they're true. Now because they're out there, and especially remember,
yes,
Why Blacks has done an article, but more people who don't know about this will look at the CBC. And CBC has a reputation.
Yes.
As a formidable media organization. So whether they're true or not, it's already out. Bad news travels faster than good
100%.
Okay, let's continue here. Joan says, Mr. Douglas, we need people like you to help us get out of get out of bank taking advantage. She also says we need group lecture. Brian says this hurts because there are genuine organizations and people who cannot get funding for creative projects and programs. There was obvious a double dipping. Sad.
Yes.
Also says maybe the reason for the lack of mention in the federal budget. We have to be sustainable. Actually, that came up yesterday in the roundtable I was in, saying there isn't a lot of stuff mentioned in the budget.
Yep.
For Africans, Black Jadafina claps hands. Jade Fina says those organizations all need to be called out. Brian says the government prefers dealing with organizations that have been around the longest, regardless of performance.
You know what? I want to just pick on that point.
Okay.
Yeah, very good point. Because yes, the government deals with organizations, and this is where this is how corruption happens, right? Even government helps to corrupt these organizations too, because they create relationships with them. So irrespective of performance, people do not win based on performance, right? They win based on relationship, who's been around the longest, and it's sad. So, again, from a strategic perspective, if I was advising the government, I would advise the government, you need to have a strategy. You need to have an evaluation process, okay, to evaluate the performance of these individuals, not only their past performance, but their potential for future. What is their strategy going forward? And what does the makeup of the board or the executive look like to make a judgment? And it's the same way if you have to look at these organizations before you give the money. It's the same way you're going to look at a business. Would I invest in this business? And if I'm going to take government's money, it's an investment. So would I invest money in this organization? I'm not here to say all organizations are bad, and we do need organizations, of course. Okay, but what I'm saying here is we have to have some strategic process of evaluating and how we make decisions, because when we make decisions, we need to have some factual basis of how and why we've made these decisions. So if we're called on those decisions, we'll say, well, here's our methodology. Here are the facts that we use to make this decision, and here's our strategy. If you do not have that basic test, then this is how risk happens. So in order to avoid the risk of what has happened with the BBPA, okay, what allegedly happened to BBPA, if we don't have a mechanism to evaluate risk and to minimize risk from a strategic perspective, okay, these things will happen over and over again. It's not a new phenomenon. It's just, it happens all the time, because if you have no strategy, no framework of analysis, then you are just asking for trouble.
There's a famous book, and the line in it says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish."
100%. And it's a very good point, Dr. Vibe, because it's an excellent point, because there is no vision, right? There is no vision. None of these, I looked at all the organizations that got money from the ecosystem fund. And like I said, organization for this, organization for that, basketball organization. Hey, I used to be a basketball player and I love basketball, but basketball and entrepreneurship, how does that match? So we didn't have a vision, okay? And the government is at fault for not having a vision. And they allowed people to just create something, okay, in order to just get money, okay? And a lot of people have been saying to me here and calling me, you got to look at face. You got to look at face, okay? I have no reason at this point to look at face, but if something comes my way, we'll look at it. But what I'm going to talk about face is a perfect example of what you said, Dr. Vite. There is no vision and there is no understanding in face. And the problem with face is that it plays itself, okay, as, it plays itself as helping Black businesses, okay? The fundamental problem of face is that the people leading face do not have any background in what face says they want to do. The first thing is this: face gives businesses loans, okay? So these loans come down from the bank, I guess they're guaranteed by the government. FACE gives these loans, but everybody knows if you want to create entrepreneurship comes from venture capital or private equity, not loans. So for example, the RBCs of the world, the CIBCs of the world, they all have venture areas, okay? And they now will give you venture capital. So if you fail and that's it. These organizations who've gotten these loans, if they fail, a lot of times they have collateralized, their credits will be ruined, and they could never run a business again. But in the real world, how it's approached with venture capital and private equity. So what FACE is doing, again, they're not, I don't think they're bad intent, they're not bad intention people or whatnot. It goes back to vision. If you don't have a vision and if you don't have a strategy, and if you don't understand anything about entrepreneurship, the application of loans is wrong, okay? The application of venture capital is what is right. So, but there's nobody in FACE to say, hey, you know what? How wealth is created based on the evidence is from venture capital and private equity, not by loans. So based on that, we would like to use this and from a venture capital perspective to give entrepreneurship, to invest in entrepreneurship. But because there's no vision and because there's no understanding of VC markets or private equity markets, they put people and they saddle them with loans while the rest of the world who are trying to do the same thing in venture capital are using venture capital. So this is the whole point. With no strategy, with no vision, and with no understanding of things, we're just going to lead our people down the wrong roads to suffering.
Okay. Let me ask, Perry, did you get a chance to read the CBC article?
Yeah, I read the CBC article. It was kind of light.
What you want to expand on your thoughts? What did you think of that article?
Yeah, the CBC article was more, for media, like they focused more on Harry Jerome, right, and his daughter and all that, right? And they showed pictures of Harry Jerome and they focused on his daughter, but they didn't get into the details of the real problem. I understand that his daughter doesn't want his name being used or whatnot. All credit to her. I agree with her, but the CBC doesn't care. I mean, By Blacks, is the magazine that cares about its community and cares about its people. So it's done the due diligence and it's done the work and it's put it out there for you to read. The CBC article for me is fluff. It talks more about Harry Jerome, which is at this point Harry Jerome is a name, which is fine. It's a name, which represents the awards. But at the end of the day, they don't really get into the real issues of misappropriation, of the allegations on misappropriation of funds.
Okay, no problem. Just showing it on the screen, folks.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can send the link out. Probably we'll see if I can get the link sent out before we finish up. Still got lots of conversation topics.
No problem.
Andrew Bromfield goes 100%. The Black community is the biggest white supremacist. They validate it every day. I want you to talk about that.
So what he's saying is that everything happens in your mind. Okay? The world is created through the mind. What you think and what you believe is what you become. Okay? Those are my words. That's Aristotle. So what happens, what Andrew is saying, white supremacy, in order to function, you actually have to believe it. Let's go back to the Caribbean, right? I'm from the Caribbean, okay? My father was a really dark-skinned man. My mother was a very light-skinned woman, okay? But back to the Caribbean, we have this light-skinned, dark-skinned type of thing, right? And people who are lighter skinned, okay, will get the opportunities in the Caribbean, work in the banks and all that kind of stuff, right? And the people who are darker skinned have a harder time, okay? So what happens is that we start believing, okay, the white is good and black is not good. So this goes back into our subconscious, okay? And neuroscience tells us that 95% of our decisions are made in our subconscious. So if we are not consciously understanding our thinking, We subconsciously suppress ourselves. So what he's saying is that the idea of white supremacy, of white is good, we have to listen to whatever white people say or whatnot because white is good. If we stop believing that and act against that in regards to, you know, our actions and our behavior, even how we treat each other, white supremacy can't work. White supremacy works if white people believe it and black people believe it. Okay? It can't work. It needs, like everything else in life, in nature, nature functions as an intertwined universe. So certain things, the yin and yang, certain things have to work in order for other things to work. So we have to stop believing in white supremacy. And what I meant by, and also if you go back to it, this is my point. If the government's giving the money, we don't need a paternalistic intermediary. We are capable. Okay, I know guys who are entrepreneurs. They're capable. Why?
Hey, drug dealers are some of the greatest entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. and there's drug dealers in every society, Chinese, black, white, whatever. Okay, so the point is, give the entrepreneur the money, because in the real world in venture capital, when you go into VCs, the VCs doesn't say, okay, you have a new piece of technology that you want to invest in. We want to invest $2 million in it. Find a nonprofit intermediary to hold your hand and we can give them. No, they give the money to you. And if you screw up, you screw up. That's how the world works. So what we did, we created organizations to flow the money through. These guys are essentially consultants to flow the money through. And we know what happened. No, these entrepreneurs have not gotten the money. They have not gotten the money. People have been sending me texts. I've gotten nothing. I've gotten nothing. And this is the sad part, because there's a lot of good black entrepreneurs out there, right?
It's a generational impact. All right, let's move to the next point. All right. Lulu says, real entrepreneurs are the only ones, in my opinion, real entrepreneurs are the only ones that need to advise black business, not profit and corporate execs on board who are getting funding.
100%.
Ryan, good to hear you. As I very elegantly said, Shirley J has a three-parter here. I'm so glad that you brought that up. As someone who has created content creators in our community to spotlight what they do for over 4 to 5 years, many in our community have observed this. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, she said the same thing there. Okay, I've noticed individuals, including some who previously coached in a specific niche, using George Floyd's name to completely transform their business to obtain grants.
Yes.
And then she said, for example, those who, quote, happen to be black, unquote, have shifted their focus from coaching to DEI consulting in their business.
So this is, hold on 1 second. I'll be short. It's an industry. They've created a wokeness industry on the blood money of George Floyd. That's what's happened.
Okay. And she says, with no experience or education in it.
100%. So listen, what I would like to say, let's get this right now.
Yeah.
You need to give the money directly to the entrepreneurs. None of these consultants, none of these, intermediaries. The rest of the world gives the money directly to the entrepreneurs. Why is it in the black community we don't do what it takes to create entrepreneurship? Why? Let me ask you a simple question. If the rest of the world, since the beginning of time, great civilizations have created economies based on entrepreneurship and based on investing in entrepreneurs directly, that has what's worked, okay? Why is it that we come along and create this upside down nonsense that has no evidence in history of working? So they've put us in another universe, and only thing you can think, they've set us up to fail, right? We got to be smarter than that. So my thing is, if the government's giving money, okay, or the Canadian banks or whatnot, enough with these intermediaries, okay? Give it directly to the entrepreneurs. And guess what? Black entrepreneurs are going to fail. The majority will fail. But guess what? The majority of white, Chinese, Asian, every other group, the statistics are the same. The percentage of failure for entrepreneurs are high. It doesn't matter what group. It's the business. So if you're gonna give money to entrepreneurs, doesn't matter if they're white, black, green, yellow, red. Okay, there's going to be a level of failure and there's going to be a level of success, and it goes across the board for everybody. So why are you now putting this paternalistic engine over the heads of black entrepreneurs? It's terrible.
I just people are texting me in questions on this conversation. This don't happen no often, so I'm glad you've got the time. Got a question here. Ask Perry about the auditor's report and why they would have reported on the related parties.
Well, the auditor's report is in there. I mean, I'm not sure what the question is. So what I would say, you go to the article, look at the auditor's report, and I think if you want to see the auditor's report, you can request the auditor's report, I would imagine. Because it is an audited report, right? So it's a real document. So go and
okay, let me ask, maybe this is a better question. What was your response to what was brought out in the report that came on the article?
Shaking my head, man. Well, shaking my head. What was brought out from the auditor's report and from the letter was the boldness of the allegations of what is it, the boldness. The no shame, like you can just do this and get away with it. And again, these are allegations, but if these allegations are true, the level of stupidity by these people are in this day and age, in the social media generation. Do you think that this wasn't going to happen? The biggest corporations go down from scandal. From these things. So the boldness, the no shame, and the level of stupidity by these people who are alleged to have done these things, I kind of sat back and I was like, can you believe this? I could believe it, but it's like these people got no sense.
Again, so this is allegations, but one of the things, and I don't know how much you can see on this screen, one of the allegations in the law firm Miller Thompson on March 27th, law firm Miller Thompson sent a stern letter to the board of BBPA alleging that close to $2 million in contracts have been awarded to the BBPA directors or people related to them since 2020 and 2023, specifically $1.5 million to former CEO Nadine Spencer and her marketing company Brand EQ. You can read further into that, but that's one of the allegations. That's why Perry is urging everybody, and the links in your comment sections, read the full article.
Read the full article and read the letter directly from the lawyers. So let's be clear. We did in this article, it is super tight. We did not speculate. We do not come up with anything. Everything we do is we take it verbatim from the auditor's report. We take it from the lawyers' letters, and specifically I said we need, even though the lawyer's letter is 15 pages, we need to put some of the lawyer's letter in a print screen so people can read it for themselves. What we do is we just talk. We just from a article writing perspective for flow. We're writing it with the quotes and everything from everybody, and then at the end, I give a bigger picture analysis. But the allegation there from the lawyer says $1.5 million went to the CEO, right? The other allegation says $250,000 was paid to her into a private company. I mean, you can't make this up. Right? Those are the allegations, and we're not saying that. That's what Miller Thompson, or actually, what I should say, that's what Miller Thompson is saying on behalf of the members that hired Miller Thompson to do this investigation. And I think what people have to understand, because in the letter we gave some of the people an opportunity to explain themselves, and they did give some reasons in terms of how some of these funds were appropriated. And what has happened is that they've come back and said, well, we've used it for this. I'm saying, get this right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you took some of that money and you donated it to an orphanage. Okay? What matters is you had a breach of the Canadian Charities Act. That's the point. It doesn't matter what you did with the money. You breached the law, okay, the statutes. That's what they're there for. So at the end of the day, there is no way around that. If based on the law, the Canadian Charities Act, the income tax law, based on that, which says that if you are a board member or within a charity, you cannot trade or do business with that charity to benefit yourself financially. Okay, I'm not making that up. Go to the income tax law. I mean, you breach that. I don't see how. Because the thing about it, people understand, the reason we have laws is because we have to be able, if we don't have laws, then the world is arbitrary. We can just make stuff up as we go along. So at the end of the day, that's what they're going to have a problem with. And, you know, the government's going to come back and say, well, we want our money back. And guess what? If you're on the board, you know, so what can I tell you? It's all there in the letter. Go just read it for yourself. Don't take it from me.
All right. And I'm glad everyone, like, people are coming into this conversation. They're staying in this conversation. We're going to go your comments. We're not going to go any comments on turn. Brian Smith says no strategy.
No strategy.
Aiden says, based on neo-colonialism statements, did the government set up us for failure? I think, Perry, you've already answered that. That's already been answered. Christos Cox, haven't seen you for a while, says 1,000%. Brian says, just do the job.
Good luck.
Breed says, Ryan says, greed got in the way.
Yes.
JJ Marr says, victimhood is problematic.
Yes.
Brian also says, facts, my brother. JJ Marr says, if a crime was truly committed, justice is required.
100%.
Welcome to Indie Soup Media, who I'm sure will be doing a rebroadcast of this conversation because the Morning Vibe is rebroadcast on their network. Dr. Taju is the driving force behind, says, hello all. Curly J says, I'm so glad you brought that up. As someone who creates content creators in our community to spotlight what they do for over 4 years, many in our community, she says, including those who previously, okay, I think we already got that.
Yeah, I think
we got that, but she also says, okay, we already got that. So yeah. Yuri Hutchinson, haven't seen you for a while. The Black community is very interesting. Really?
You think so?
We are ruining it for others. That's one of the concerns I have.
Yes.
And we are not cohesive.
Yes.
Andrew says, just like it wasn't a surprise to Denham Jolly, it was not a surprise to government bureaucrats. Trust me, they probably had an internal betting pool for when this day would come. Leah Hathaway says, this conversation is needed and so is action. Nick Pro, the exploitation of the Black experience was always known to be perpetuated by systemic oppression. Sadly, we're exploring our own tribulations, focus organizations. Yuri says, the government purges to be with other organizations that go with their white supremacy narrative. As long as you don't think African, they're okay if you think Black. Interesting. Next up, we need to work more with our people than these governments. Transparency to our people is the key. Here's a question here. What lessons can other charitable organizations learn from the BBPA challenges to improve their governance and transparency? Go for it, man.
Listen, I want to say, right, that a lot of nonprofit organizations, Black organizations, are doing just fine, right? And I don't want to I want to be very clear, okay, on the facts. I want to say that the nonprofit organizations since George Floyd who claim to be stewards of entrepreneurship, okay, that needs to go away. Get every one of them. We get rid of them, okay? And if any funding is coming in, right, it has to be directly to the entrepreneurs. That's it. This colonial paternalistic mindset has to go. So organizations that are doing fine, you know, there's a lot of organizations out there doing fine. Keep going. There's a lot of shrapnel, right? As you said, Dr. Vibe, that's going to hit them. But guess what? If you got your stuff together, you're going to be fine. I know, you know, lots of organizations, you know, some have done work for, you know, in Toronto, Montreal, that, you know, around the world. they're going to be just fine. So what I'm trying to say here is this: you got to think about this. I want us to understand how the real world works. Economics is not a morality play. Okay, it's a power play. And in order to get power, you got to create economics. And in order to create economics, you got to create wealth. And in order to create wealth, you got to engage in entrepreneurship. Okay? So that's how the world works. And if you are living in a utopian universe where you believe that and this is part of my strategy work, right? In my business, if top down, institutional government organizations, top-down economic development doesn't work. There's no evidence that it has. The evidence actually shows the opposite, and the evidence actually also shows it's how corruption is created. Okay, how wealth is created is bottom up. And guess what? Newsflash: the world is unfair. Okay, it's unfair. But you could still succeed. I'm going to give you a story, okay? Quickly. I come from Grenada, and my father is Black African looking man. And his grandparents, my grandparents, my grandmother Mello and my grandfather Daddy Bouge, right? 12 kids, okay? In a little area in Grenada called Paradise. They started a bakery. They started a gas station. My grandmother, when Mello went out and she invested in a piano. Okay, she gave piano lessons, and they were one of the founders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Dark-skinned Black people, about 12 children. Okay, my father was an entrepreneur, but I'm going to tell you, they were able to send those children to McGill University because they realized that in order for them as dark-skinned people, okay, they weren't going to sit and complain. Their dark skin isn't going to change. Okay, and they don't care about what other people think about it, but they became entrepreneurs. Okay, they were able to send my uncles, and aunts, McGill, Concordia, Sir George at the time, London School of Economics, many other places. Okay, all right. There's only 2 surviving now. My aunt has just passed away at 94 in Trinidad. All of us have a culture of performance. We have a culture of no excuses. Okay? We have a culture of not saying life is unfair. And all of that was passed through my aunts and uncles and my father was passed to me, and I passed it to my kids. And that's how life is. And if you want to succeed, that is how it happens. We can't go around blaming everybody. We got to do it ourselves. And one of the things we don't do in this community, and I know it, okay, is we don't invest in ourselves. We talk a whole lot. Oh, we need wealth. We need intergenerational wealth. We need this. We need that. But you ask a Black person to invest in another entrepreneur's idea. No. Let's go to an organization. Go to the government for grants. So we have to look ourselves in the eye, be in the mirror, be responsible, and be truthful and honest about ourselves first. Okay, before we go out and start blaming the white man and blaming this person and blaming that person. Okay, that's how life happens. So you don't tell me, okay, some Black folks in a tiny island of 100,000 people in Grenada created that success and spread that out through the world, and you're going to tell me you can't do it here, and you have all the advantages. You have all the advantages in Canada. You're somehow disadvantaged living in Canada. Give me a break.
All right, let's get back to some more comments. I know there's some questions we'll see in the end. I'm going to get to some straight comments here. Yuri says, face, government organization of white supremacy that keeps the African community down. Leanne Hathaway says, not-profit and for-profits need to have their financial management and governance in order. Merrill Africa, who used to be the head of the Canadian Association of Urban Financial Planners. Great to have you here. Black community need to stop thinking VC money will save them. Grow a revenue-based business. I work commercial banking, and many businesses prosper without VC funding or government grants.
True, but not true. What I would say to that is that the model is. I agree with her. I agree with her that what she says is 100% right. We have to essentially build our businesses, okay, and grow our businesses. So I think we need to make the distinction between an existing business, okay, which you need to grow your revenue and move on like that. That's an existing business. If we are talking about, startups, okay, how the VC market, how startups work is that you got to go out and raise capital. Now, you can start by raising from friends and family, then you can go to seed capital or whatnot. So I think I'm not here to try to pigeonhole Black people one way or the other. Everybody is allowed to play by the same rules, okay, and go after it the same way, okay, because I have deep knowledge on the VC market based on my background. I have deep knowledge of the investment market on my background because I come out of that industry.
So they're already setting up for another show. They're saying, Brian says, I'd like to see a debate with Perry and the head of Face. Would be very interesting. Shirley just says, yes, the CBC article was focused on the daughter.
Yeah.
Perry says, true. I'd like to see we already have another program ready.
Hey, listen, I'm always there.
Okay.
I'm not there to, you know what? I'm not there. One of the things I don't do is, I'm not there to, I don't like to get into debates left and right or whatever. Okay. If there's an issue that people want to have a good discussion on, and we have to give the head of Face an opportunity to talk, and I'm not going to be aggressive or whatnot. I like to have a discussion on the ideas, okay? Because I have no reason to believe that, the CEO of Face or the directors, they're good people. I have no reason not to believe that. I have my feelings in regards to, the model that I don't think is right, but I'm allowed to do that. Okay, so I will have a discussion based on ideas, not personal attacks or anything like that.
Okay. Yuri says, if you don't practice your African tradition, you have no identity. Please, my brother, let's not promote Aristotle, a Greek who was against Africans.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but that's for another day.
Okay. Yuri says, we have no identity. Leanne says, colorism plays out in our B3 organizations, Missanjoir too.
Yep.
Andrew says 100% Merrill Africa. JG Mar says skin problem, color problem is global. Yep. Andrew's verifying 100% Lulu. We got else. Dr. Chai says absolutely to a wokeness industry.
Yeah, I just talked to Tauchi. That's an excellent point because I think what you brought out is I don't think people get that. So I mean, I know you're trained in psychology, so maybe obviously you're better at it than most people, but I think your point is very important. What has been created is an industry, right? That we've bought into. And we've bought into an industry that is not aligned with the real world. So the whole reason you see DEI and all these things, failing, forget about the merit or whatnot, is that we've bought into an industry. And, that's the problem. And we now focus on the industry, not the entrepreneurship, right? Because you have people running around creating organizations. And I looked at an organization that's out there, big organizations, got lots of government, funding. And then, okay, they said they've given money to 100 entrepreneurs or whatnot. And credit to them, they put out a great financial report and an annual report, credit to them. But I read the details. I go into it and I read the details. And when they said they, gave all this money, it's like $5,000 each to 40 people, and then it was 3,000. That does more harm than good, to be quite honest with you. So the whole wokeness industry, this whole industry Dr. Fauci is talking about, is a problem because it's not aligned with how the real world works. Okay? And for me, being in the real world, I understand how it works. And there's no alternative universe. There's no alternative reality. There's only one reality. And the further you stray from reality, the bounce back to it is going to be harsh and it's going to be hard. So it's better to stick in reality.
Okay, just correct. You said Dr. Fauci is Dr. Tachi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. No problem. Yuri said Canada is a corporation. It's on the website. There needs to be intermediaries, but to be transparent, not to be an agent of the government. Shirley J says, to Christos Cox, I think Black North can't even consider operating like this because West has a reputation, knows where to find funding, and it's a very public organization because of West's involvement. I know where you're going to go with this, so you can keep it.
Listen, if you guys want, you can go to my website and you can read my article. I can't remember my article is called. My article is called "The Peril of the Winter is Coming." Peril of the Black Man.
Yeah, we won't get.
All I would say is this: everything I said in the article has come true. So go read for yourself.
There you go. Yuri says $2 million. Wow, they rich. I guess you've read the article. Brian says, Blacks. You've read it while you're on here. Yes. Brian says pure negligence. Negligence is stupidity. Right. Yeah. And Sherry says, well, I'll leave that. That's a question. All right, let me get to the comments and we'll get into some final questions. After all, Perry Douglas, you should be a lawyer or a politician.
No chance.
No chance on either.
I have enough lawyers in the family.
Okay, we got Althea says, big up Grenada.
Hey.
All right.
Spice in the house. Spice in the house.
Yuri says, the world works where the black man is a boy and the black woman is a girl. That is white supremacy. They will not treat you with respect economically, but to get a few Negroes who are scared of the white man, but hate their community and themselves to be the watchdogs and keep our community oppressed. It goes back in the day when they were promoted the slave to beat our own people. Okay. He also says, hello, Dr. Vibe. Good. I guess kind words, nice that people like you and your show are running. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Joan says, amen. Praise the Lord, family is the first teachers to success in life. I don't know what that means. Again, another request. Debate. You want this debate? Maybe I'd love to. Maybe buy blocks.
I know I'm in my hood. These are my Montreal posse covered in, man. They want to fight. And I'm going to tell you, right? I think what's happening is that people actually are seeing what's happening. So you see what happens, right? That people are seeing what's happening and they're seeing the injustice. So they don't have the means or they don't have the ability to call it out. So that's why they're saying debate, because they've been seeing the wrong. They have and you have to listen to the grassroots. Okay. And I've always been that guy. I'm not afraid of the fight. I've always been that guy because for me, again, I'm a country boy from Grenada, and the morals and the values of my grandmother, my mother, I still have it. And what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. I understand how the world works. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm not even, if I'm in business and all that kind of stuff, I fight, from a morality perspective. Hey, I'm in business. You're going to get killed. If you come across me, I'm going to look to win. But at the end of the day, if people are trying to hustle on my community, I got a problem with that. Right. And I'm that guy. I can't keep my, I can't keep my mouth shut. And one of the things is that people say, well, you always, because most people are not well read. When I say not well read, the people that you go up against, they rely on their opinions and their views. I don't rely on that. I rely on facts and analysis. So anything I say, my business is strategy development. So anything I say has to be based on facts. This is my whole thing about applied intelligence. And I wrote a book on that, right? By the way, I got a second book coming. But for me, the whole thing about applied intelligence is to understand the facts and if the facts are on your side, your argument is going to be sustainable. If emotion is what you're going with and making stuff up is what you're going with, that's not sustainable. So for me, if I'm going to something, I'm going to something with the facts, and this is why I wrote this article. And when I was approached, is because the facts were all there. The lawyer's letter was all there. So I got no problem once I have the facts on my side.
All right. Okay. So we're going to get one or two more comments, and we're going to do get up with some rapid fire questions. Yuri says, we need to be separate from the government to hold our people accountable and discuss privately our issues as a community. Dr. Vibe showing this, and not CBC should be first. Black shows like Dr. Eyes are not narratives to promote propaganda. They are shows that promote facts and truth. And we need to be tuned to shows like Dr. Vibe. I think you got that. And let me know, and I will promote you in my organization. Well, you know how to get a hold of me, and Yuri, I know how to get a hold of you. Okay, this conversation wouldn't happen without Perry and buyblacks.com. Roger and Camille. So 100%. I'm not going to take the premiere. I was at the end of the pipeline.
Yeah,
it's this person on the screen and Roger and Camille Dundas. You need to thank them. You need to support them. Let me
just echo that. That's right. I just did the writing. Okay.
Exactly.
I did the writing and I did the analysis. They did the investigation.
100%.
And hard work.
So I don't want the credit.
Yeah, they deserve all the credit. I just did the writing. I didn't do much. I just did the writing and stuff like that. But what you have to understand, you have to give credit to Buy Blacks, okay? And because we need a publication in our community, we need a serious publication in our community that just doesn't, talk about the last dance or whatever, last party or whatnot.
Or drama.
Yeah, exactly. Or drama, yes, right? We need an organization like Buy Blacks. You need to subscribe to that magazine. You need to support that magazine because they are doing a public service by bringing this out. And there's going to be people that attack them. I already know. I've already heard, right? But you need a newspaper. You need a newspaper that's not focused on nonsense and that focused on serious topics and which holds everybody accountable, even themselves, because they had a choice not to write this.
Yeah.
Because trust me, there was pressure. Okay, but they said, you know what? No, this is the right thing to do. Okay, this is the right thing to do. And we're going to do it. So we need an organization like that we need to support. So the first thing you can do is we can support Dr. Vibe and we can support Buy Blacks because that's our media, quality media sources.
Okay, Yuri says, Roger and Camille, yes, but your show is available. No, we work together.
Yeah. It's not.
And he did say working together, absolutely.
Together, yes.
Matrix says, yes, thank you, Camille and Roger, Buy Blacks and Perry. We need to rally for them. Well, take the action and wherever you can support, whether it's watching this, reading an article, promoting them wherever you can. That's important.
With them.
Yeah. So here's some questions as we start winding it down. What has, in your opinion, what has Face accomplished with the money so far? I think you've covered that. Have you?
I haven't seen any. I'm going to answer the question. I haven't seen any results. So I do believe actually, Buy Blacks did an article on Face. So I think you should go read that article. Mm-hmm. From that article, if I can remember, the question was asked to the CEO. I think it was Tiffany Callender is her name, mm-hmm. to explain the results and to explain the methodology. And from what I saw, it wasn't very good. So I haven't seen results. And what I'm concerned about too is I haven't seen any type of reporting on. There's some very important questions asked because I was consulted on that article, right? I haven't seen a methodology. I haven't seen a strategy because what is the failure rate? Because
I guess another question is, what is the definition of success?
Yeah, what is the definition of success? Yeah, right. And I want to see some, like, if you're doing that with most funds, because essentially they're a fund, there has to be a performance ranking or rating or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't see, and the other thing I was concerned about with that from the article, from the investigation, what I found from the person who wrote the article, is that people were afraid. This is my concern, right? And it's in the article. People were afraid to say, they contacted one or two people who were getting money from Face, but from what the article says, people were afraid to say anything. They had a lot of criticisms, those people who were getting the money, in terms of the process and in terms of what they've gone through and all that, but they're afraid to say it publicly because they don't want from retribution or whatnot. So I think there might be a problem there. Like I said, I have not investigated anything myself. I'm going from a source document, which is an article that says that. But what I say is that we need to have a vision, a strategy, a methodology, and a way of reporting your returns in order for us to analyze the return on taxpayers' money, right? That's just normal, but I don't see that yet. Maybe there is, and if that is there, please, send it to Dr. Vibe or send it to me. I would love to actually go through that document.
Okay. Yuri says, but Mr. Douglas, who will do the evaluation strategy? Most of these people are afraid to align with someone who has a vision that is not aligned with the Canadian government that is governed by white supremacy.
Listen, look, listen, my business is in strategy. Okay. And my background, I run a business in strategy, and I've done strategy work for, big private equity companies, governments, all that. I have never been called once, on anything. All that money, guess what? They give it to, Price Waterhouse. They give it to all the white consultants. So you got to understand one thing about this, okay? You got to understand how the world works. So when the government gives you money like this too, and they force you to use the big consultant firms or organizations, that's the way to redirect money back into the mainstream, right? You got to understand how that works. And these people, and that Yuri's correct, from white supremacy's perspective, they're not hiring, there's a lot of great Black consultants or strategists or whatever out there. They're not hiring their own people. They're hiring other people, and they're saying they're Black organizations. When Jewish organizations, everything is Jewish. When the Chinese organizations do this, everything is Chinese, and they look for the people in their society to provide that service. But we don't do it. So this is how I think what Yuri's talking about, how white supremacy goes on, and we don't think, because we are from a white supremacy's perspective, we are thinking white is better. So we look at our own people. Guess what? I went to a top university. Other people went to top university. They all have the same degrees. Why are our own Black people looking at us as we're not good enough? So that's an inherent problem with our own community, which we need to come to terms with.
Well, I think that's a whole other conversation. Right? And one of the things I say with many people who look like us, trauma, repetition, symbolism.
100%.
I haven't said that for a while. If people want, I can talk about that offline with people, but a lot of things I look at: trauma, repetition, symbolism.
100%.
All right, a few things. Christos Cox makes a good suggestion. Join the BBPA and let your voice be impactfully heard. Insists on transparency, accountability, and appropriate board governance, and the installing of leaders with vision and passion experience. Would you encourage people to do that?
BBPA has to be broken down and redone. It is the organization. So again, I'm in strategy and organization reconstruction and transformation. So this organization has to be transformed. It can't exist as it is. I'm not joining. Nobody joins a sinking ship. I don't want to die.
All right. Okay. Yuri says, yeah, I want to work with you, Mr. Douglas. I am Vinci.
That's okay.
My email is Yuri Hutchinson. Okay. We'll see if we can make that.
Yeah, you can. Dr. Vike can hook you up. Yeah.
And it's probably related to you. And yes, Matrix 360, his contact information is in the chat. If you look at on the platform you're watching on Facebook, it should be in there. All right, let me see if we have a few other things before we call it a conversation. Okay, so I think there was a question. asking what you thought about the results of all these other organizations. I think you've basically given your take on that.
Yeah.
So that's been done. Okay. Shirley says, how do we move forward with some individuals if considering doing business with anything who was part of the BBA executive board during the time of this article?
Like I said, I think there has to be, you have to essentially have, the whole board needs to resign. There has to be an intermediate, some form of intermediate executive or whatnot. And you have to build a strategy. Okay. You have to build a strategy to address the future of BBPA and how best it can serve people, right? And maybe a name change, because if it doesn't do that, it's just going to linger and linger and linger. One of the problems, right, is never, it's never the, I don't know if this is the right word. It's never the scandal. It's never the crime. It's always the cover up, right? So, as long as people keep trying to cover up or put Band-Aids on this, they're doing more harm than good. I think, my good friend Ray Williams says you have to have regeneration and rebirth. And sometimes these things you have to look at them as an opportunity. You don't look at it as a death. You look at it as an opportunity. So I'd be happy, again, my business is strategy. I would be happy to show them, listen, you have to, kill the organization, and you have to essentially work and build out a strategy, okay, and then restructure and repurpose the organization for the 21st century to serve the needs of the community. And that might mean not only in terms of entrepreneurship, business, education, mental health, because I believe mental health is in everything, because if we don't have good mental health, we are not going to be good performers. So I think mental health is a core component of performance, right? So what we have to do now is we have to go through that process and come out the other side better and stronger. That's what needs to be done. We can't, you're not a leader. Okay, I'm going to just speaking to whoever is the leaders of the BBPA, I don't know. You're not leaders, and you're not helping the community, okay, by trying to, talk around the obvious. Okay, the obvious is there's major breaches, okay, based on the letter from the lawyer, based on the allegations, based on the CCA, the Canadian Charities Act. There's major breaches. That removes trust. An organization, okay, can't succeed without trust. A brand cannot succeed without trust. So do the right thing, okay? Take it down, rebuild, take time to rebuild a strategy, maybe even have a chat with Denim Jolly. I know he's going to say no, so forget that part. But, and then let's build a strategy to build this up again, to help Black Canadians in business, because an organization like this could be very helpful, okay? But it needs to be done right, and it needs to be done properly, and it needs to be people who are there to serve their community. And if we can achieve that, BBPA can grow strong again. But if we just try to avoid and make excuses, it will fail. And what will, not only will it fail, it's already failed, but not only will it fail, it'll bring a lot of the other organizations, a lot of other people in the Black community down. And if you say you care, okay, about, others in the Black community, if you really care, do the right thing. Okay, do the right thing if you care. Stop talking, stop making excuses, because the law is clear. It was a breach. Okay, I've read it and the law is clear. There was a breach. Okay, so if you really care about the Black community and not yourself, okay, do the right thing.
All right. Some more final comments. Exo Rennie says this whole situation is so disappointing. Yes.
Yes.
Also, it's wild to how the BBPA is just posting on their social media like everything is good. Leanne Hathaway says you have to cure the sickness, get it out of the body before the wound can heal.
That's right.
David from Australia says terrific conversations as usual, Dr. Vi. I have missed it, but we'll be back real soon. Thanks again. All right, no problem. Exo Rain says, well said, Leanne. Tanisha McKenna, ovations. Simon Sinek said it right, quote, leaders are not in charge. They are to care for those who they're in their charge.
Oh, yes.
All right. Also, too, and for everyone who may or may not know, the signature event for the BBPA, the Harry Jerome Awards, is tomorrow night.
It's gonna be interesting.
So one, and I missed this comment earlier from from Tim Frey. Very interesting, and people need to listen to this. Perry, just to let you know, you're absolutely right about what you're saying. I have direct contact with the CRA, and during a networking dinner, I was warned about certain potential audits.
Yes.
I reached out to the founders and the board members of those specific organizations and advised them to get their affairs in order because they are under scrutiny and non-compliant.
Yes.
With the Canada Nonprofit Act.
Let me tell you something.
Okay. We'll stop right there. Go on.
No, so finish Tim's comment.
Okay.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Canada Nonprofit Act. He has a little bit more. He says there's currently a long-standing Black charity facing financial crisis. Despite not generating revenue, their spending hasn't been managed effectively, leaving them in a precarious situation. So this must be another one he must be talking about. Whether this comes to light or not, I'm aware that they're in trouble. Bang.
It's a lot, not only one or two, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that let me just speak, because I've heard a lot of excuses flying around from people in who the lawyer's letter have addressed with these allegations about excuses and why this. What Tim is saying, okay, is the allegations they're saying from Miller Thompson is you've broken the law. Okay, there's the law, the Canadian Charities Act. You, as a board member, fall on that. So guess what? The government is going to come back looking for its money. And how the real world works is that the people on the board, their assets, okay, are fair play. It's not a corporation, it's you. Right? So I think it's in your interest, board members, to wake up and smell the coffee and realize Tim just confirmed to you that the government is just not sleeping blind. Okay? They're going to be coming for you. So the best you can do is do the right thing. Okay? And maybe your assets would be, spared, unless you don't care. Okay, but in situations like this, people always want to fight. You're not going to fight. The law is clear. They have something to go on. So do the right thing, not only for the community, but to save yourself. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Okay, this is going to be an election issue. All right, it's going to be an election issue.
People aren't thinking about this, and the way the Conservative Party is,
yes,
thinking. This is going to be an issue.
This is part of the culture wars that the Conservative Party is pushing. Pierre Poilievre is pushing. Okay, and he's going to use this. Okay, he's going to use this to show the Liberal government once again the WE scandal, this scandal, that scandal. I don't have an affiliate. I'm not.
Yeah, but you know what scandal they're going to highlight first.
Yeah, we know what's coming. They will find it. So what I'm trying to say to these people, Buy Blacks have given us an opportunity, okay, to address this and try to fix this, okay, for the greater good of the Black community. That's what Buy Blacks have done. Recognize that. So what we have to do now is we have to take responsibility. I'm not saying we take responsibility. The people who the allegations are set against have to take responsibility, because if you don't, you're just going to hurt the Black community. right? You were given a responsibility. Okay, you were given a responsibility for others. It doesn't matter if I disagree with how it went down or whatnot, but the fact is you were given a responsibility, and that responsibility was not done. There wasn't care, and there is what they call a duty of care, which has not happened. Therefore, all I'm saying to you is just do the right thing. You can't hide from this. Just do the right thing, because an election is coming in 2025, and this is going to hurt communities. And there's lots of what'll happen. There's going to be lots of community programs out there. That's very good. We've used Tropicana as an example. Been doing really good work for so long. I was a board member of Tropicana years ago. Those organizations have been doing really good work for such a long time. But funding they may have some good programs but the government, because of the pressures coming from an election or whatnot, may stop that funding. And those organizations like Tropicana that does really good work are going to suffer. So what these people at BBPA have done based on the allegations, there's a lot of ramifications. So all I'm going to say to you is that do the right thing. Listen, hey, redemption, everybody makes mistakes, and everybody, anybody without sin, has to throw the first stone or whatever. My mother wouldn't be proud of me not being able to talk Bible verses, but but the point is that all I'm saying is just do the right thing if you do care about the community, because Tim just confirmed that guns are being loaded.
Hey, the redemption day is coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. All right.
Yeah.
Matrix 360, yes, and hence why our inquiry. The members have come together to ask and expose, and the BBPA has ignored letters from Miller Thompson. We are rallying together BBPA members, community partners, and funders. Yuri says, Black Chamber face BBPA. Wow. Says accountability and responsibility. Meryl, Africa again. I would love to be able to have a chat with you, Meryl, if possible. So glad you had Perry on the show. This has been a very insightful and powerful discussion. Thank you both for not being afraid to cover such a sensitive topic. Yeah. Shirley's got some more questions. Just hold on. Okay. Donna says, thank you for shining the light on ineptitude, corruption, incompetence with organizations such as the BBPA. Now, remember, these are alleged.
These are alleged, yeah.
These are alleged. Agreed, total transformation with qualified leaders, vision, and values and governance is key. Matrix says, listen here, the BBPA is giving the CEO a face. The CEO face is getting
Woo!
I'm not saying
I don't even have it. Hold on a second. I do have something to say.
Okay. Load it up.
I think that says it all. That's all.
Okay. All right. Let me see.
They give each other awards. Unbelievable.
Okay, so here we go. Here's a question. Is there anything we can do as a collective to place accountability now more than ever following this information? What should or can we do next?
I think, speak out in your social media, put pressure on wherever your universe is, where you can put pressure on either direct or indirect. Keep speaking out, because that's the only, and just hold people accountable. And that's really the only thing we can do.
Well, Perry, the question is this just going to be forgotten?
Yeah, there's a risk of it could just be, and I think that's what the organization think they can do. It'll just be forgotten. But I hope the members of the BBPA keep pushing for to get, like, BBPA can't survive with the current board, and there has to be some. Based on the allegations, if the allegations are proven to be true, and again, everybody deserves their right to due process. If it's proven to be true, it has to be taken down and repurposed with a strategy first. I think the members of the BBPA have a responsibility in their own interests to push for that, because at the end of the day, it's a members organization, right?
Yep.
The executives just manage it, right? So if the members push for it, then if the members demand the resignation, if they coordinate themselves, demand a resignation, and demand, to be listened to, and demand a vision, as you said, Dr. Vibes, and a strategy, and a repurposing and a refocusing of the organization to move forward. I think that could be good, and also it could, if we have that, there could be funds coming from the regular community, like if people are signing up for $50 or whatnot, they could contribute, because they'll be contributing to their own community, because the new organization, whatever the name is, will be focused with a strategy that's transparent and clear. And what I propose to is your strategy, everything be listed on your website. You have performance goals. You have quarterly reports. And we have the digital world now, so we can send out the information, what we've done, our performance. We can send it out on a quarterly basis. We don't even have to have an AGM. We can have of course, you have to have an AGM for the sake of having an AGM, but we live in an electronic world now. So we should be able to manage information and send that information out to the community, so the community could know and provide feedback to those leaders, to ensure that those leaders are acting in the best interest of the community. So I think there's a bigger opportunity for the BBPA now if it's repurposed, because the cleansing of this, as Leanne said, get rid of the sickness and make us stronger. I think BBA can become bigger, stronger, and more beneficial to the communities. But if it just stays there, hiding in a corner, not accepting reality, then it's just going to bring everybody down. And I think that's not right. That's just not right, man. You guys can't do that. It's not right.
Okay. Shirley J says, if entrepreneurs have been affected by this, should they make a complaint with the Office of the Public Guardian and Trustee about the misuse of charitable property?
I think that's a pretty good idea. I mean, you got to have pressure from all sides, right? I think you need to maybe speak to the your local MP. Speak to local MP. Speak in my area in Thornhill. I'm actually I think she's the minister, Mary. Yeah, I can't remember.
Mary Ng. Yes.
In Thornhill, Markham. So I plan to raise it to her and her office, and then and that's in their benefit too, because that's sort of giving them a heads up, and then hopefully they'll put pressure on this to change. What we have to do here is not try to destroy each other. No one's looking to destroy these people. They've made a mistake. I'm sure they're good people. Their mothers and
allegedly,
right? So the alleged allegations of these people, I'm sure they're good human beings. They're good people, but they made a mistake. That's the way it goes. So I'm not here to look to destroy people. What I'm here is to just get people to do the right thing. And I think if we can get them to do the right thing, and as a community, if we can show, hey, we're not gonna sit blindly and watch these things happen. There's a rejuvenation process that can happen. I think BBPA can become bigger and stronger and better and focused with a vision and a strategy to serve the Canadian Black community better and more aligned with the 21st century. And I think that is the opportunity. So I see the opportunity, right? That's what I see here. And it's up to people to do the right thing in the best interest of their community.
All right. So final things. Can we say, Maitra says, can we say Arsenio? You mean things that make you go, Shirley J says, dang. Yuri says, Matrix, contact me. So Yuri, you put your information in actually you put on the Facebook. So you reach out to me, or then the numbers are the numbers. 1 + 1 = 2. But check the public documents of the financial statements of the BPA. 1 plus 1 plus 10. What math is that?
Got jokes, man. Got jokes.
Also says Pandora. No, it will not be the Pandora's box is open and it's not shutting down.
Yeah.
And says
Sad.
yes, okay, all right. And then I think one final question again. And Shirley J, thank you for all your questions. You've had some incredible questions. I think this will be a great final question. What should we do as Black entrepreneurs?
Oh my God. That's a really great question. What we can do as entrepreneurs is keep believing in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves, believe in our ideas, and keep going no matter what. Don't always expect that nobody, black, white, or whatnot, is going to come to your help. I'm going to speak from my experience. Very few people are going to be with you when days are tough. And, my experience, I have one great friend, investor who's with you. And there's not a lot of people like him in this world, in our community. And so what I would say, don't depend on anybody. Keep going. Keep moving. Be transparent with whoever you're dealing with, whether it's an investor or a person. Give them the good, the bad, and the ugly. And most important, believe in yourself. Because I'll tell you what, in entrepreneurship, right, the reason why there's such a high failure rate in entrepreneurship, even in the VC sector. So these so-called professional investors, 95% of their investments fails, and 1 or 2 work out well, is because, good ideas, there's a lot of good ideas out there, but the ideas that succeed are the ones that are driven by an investor an entrepreneur who's relentless. You got to be relentless. You got to keep proving it to yourself every day, and you got to keep proving it to others every day. And you got to be honest with yourself and expect that no one's going to help you. You're on your own. Okay? That's why not everybody can be super wealthy, because not everybody can do that. So believe in yourself. Keep working your idea. Believe in iteration. You got to iterate and iterate and iterate. Okay? Take advice, but be careful who you take advice from. Okay? Don't take advice from people who are not succeeding. A lot of people that may give you advice don't want you to succeed. It's the way it is. That's how human beings are. Okay? Believe in yourself, keep going, and just look at making good decisions. And most important, focus on your strategy. What is your strategy? How are you going to do it? And at the end of the day, you have to raise capital. Okay? The best investors, even if you have a business, are always raising capital. You have to do that to move forward. And you can do it. Don't get caught up in these non-profit organizations who say they're non-profit entrepreneurship. The 2 words is contradictory in the first place. They don't know anything about what they talk about. They're just wasting your time and energy. Okay? Entrepreneurship is not something you can go to a boot camp and learn. You have to be a lifelong learner. You have to learn yourself. Every day you get up, you got to learn something new. Okay? And you have to keep going and continue to believe in yourself. And guess what? If you do that, the universe will bring people to you, and the universe will help you. Okay? But you got to put out those positive vibes within the universe, and the universe has to see you like, wow, this person is good, this people strong. So the most important thing is you, and keep focusing and surround yourself with good, positive people. Just don't waste time don't waste time with talkers. As my good friend Ray Williams says, my Grenadian brethren says, talk, don't cook rice. Right? So don't waste time with the talkers.
So a few other things are just a Matrix 360 is right in on this. Important. The BBPA shut down the membership portal.
Oh.
They don't want it. This is what Max is saying. They're feeling that they don't want anyone to join. We were just advised a few folks want to sign up and vote the board out. Can't happen.
Wow.
Matrix says, yes, Perry, so on point. Shirley J, hence why and continue to collaborate and refer to ACBCBN. That's for you to suggest. Ray says, great summation. And most importantly, every morning you start at 0.
Hey, I just bought Ray is a Grenadian.
Yes, he says you have to do it all over again. I respect Ray McMillan so very.
Ray was, I don't know, he's a Grenadian, so he has to be good, right? I knew there was something about Ray that I liked. You know? He's a Grenadian, man.
He is, so respect him so highly. So
yeah,
Tim said, as Black entrepreneurs, think global and open up to digital markets. And I'm going to tell you right here, family, I wouldn't be on this platform if it wasn't help from people from the outside. And another encouragement as an entrepreneur, you not only have to have a business team, you need to have a you team.
Yes. You
have to have a you team.
100%.
Because this entrepreneur thing,
boy,
right? And I think what we have to, I got to work on, get a bunch of us to have a round table, maybe monthly or bi-monthly, and just talk entrepreneurship. The good, the bad, the ugly, and maybe we can. I know there would be a lot of positive value added, from that, just as much as a number of these organizations, because we're living it.
Listen, man, it's hard. My two kids, my youngest and my middle, like that, we don't want to be entrepreneurs. But my oldest daughter is an entrepreneur, and boy, she's on the hustle. She does everything herself, and we help her here and there. But yeah, I respect her so much for that.
So Major says, but please not the BBPA. So Ray says 1/3 Grenadian, Perry, but I'll take it.
Okay. Good enough.
And Matrix says, yes, the U team, your own board of directors. I love that acronym, your own board of directors.
100%.
I love that. But we'll have context, because I could suggest a group of gentlemen and ladies that could form. Whether the government would listen to me or not, I don't know. But these ladies have receipts. They have receipts.
I think that's a really good idea, Dr. Vibe. I think we have to cut through cut through those consultants, cut through those intermediaries, and talk directly to entrepreneurs.
Let's talk to successful entrepreneurs.
Yes, and there's a lot of them out there.
Entrepreneurs. And see, we'll just leave. And Meryl Africa says, preach, 100%. One of the things that disappoints me the most is the number of good and qualified people that I know who look like me that have either offered their services to organizations and they said, no, we're okay, or they've had experience and say, you know what, this is too much of a mess, I'm gone.
Yeah, because the organizations are threatened by their knowledge.
I don't know, but there's so much talent out there, qualified with receipts that could elevate, and for whatever reason they're not there helping these organizations out. That's a huge concern.
Yeah, we've become hypnotized by the woke industry, or what did was it Dr. Fauci? Dr. Tachi, sorry. Fauci, Dr. Tachi said, what did she say? It's an industry.
Wokeness.
Yeah. So we've been transported to this industry while the rest of the world is going on in reality. We've been hypnotized and suckered into this alternative universe that doesn't really exist.
All right, Perry.
Sir,
thanks for making the time. I didn't know you could come on for this long, but
wow, what is it, 2 hours and 19?
It's a lot of time. So a few things. If you want to get in contact with Perry, there is his online information, or you can contact me and I'll get you to him. It's also in the chat on most of the platforms you're watching live or on the replay. Buy Blacks. It wouldn't have happened without them. Please engage with them. Read their articles. Right? Website, Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, YouTube. It's all there. Then my co-host, who's not here today, Ryan Oneil Knight, his website, ryanOneilKnight.com. Plus on RyanOneil.com, Ryan Oneil Knight, LinkedIn, Instagram at Ryan.Knight99, his email address. Work with me at Ryan Oneil Knight.com. Actually, you know what, Perry, I'm going to let you go. We'll chat in just a few minutes.
man.
All right.
Take care.
Right. And then finally, me, the DrVibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, and then X/Twitter, which, funny enough, lots of people, a number of people watch this on Twitter, X-Twitter, which is interesting, and email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Last final comment. Let's see if there's anything else. Yuri, fantastic. Let's chat offline. Shirley J, great conversation. And also want to promote what Shirley J does with the Black Canadian content creators. Please support them any way you can. Matrix, yes, yup, had to tweet it out. Appreciate 100%. Leanne, love this conversation. More, please. More coming. Follow the Dr. Vibe Show, especially on YouTube. Hit the subscribe and the notification. LOL, I emailed you already. Okay, Yuri, you're not playing. Good. Ryan, such a thorough and informative episode. Much thanks. All right, let's make it happen. This is I think the longest conversation we've ever had on the Morning Vibe. It's one of the longest ones I've done in a while, but you know what? That's why we're here. All right, few last things. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Let's do that. Let's advertise your business, product, or service on our show or any of the platforms that I host. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join our Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. What else? You can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro-Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube and LinkedIn. And I also got to add on Indie Soup Media. So you can watch replays of a whole pile of stuff. We is everywhere. And I'm very blessed to say my content reach now is over 5 million people worldwide. So feel very excited about that. Last 2 comments. I'll definitely watch this again. Thank you. Fitness IQ Cam does a great conversation Saturday afternoons, most Saturday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern time, called Things I Wish I Knew About Money. So there you go. And actually, if you go in her archive, she was the last person to interview Ross Cadastra, who is the current board chair for the BBPA. So the interview was done a little bit before all this happened. But if you want to find out more about Ross, go check out her channel. All right. This is it. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. If you're around this weekend, tomorrow night live, 7 p.m., primetime Saturday with Isha and Lala. This Sunday coming up, Black Canada talking with Cesar Nadim Mamusa. He was just over for the United Nations Decade for People of African Descent. He actually had a chance to speak in Geneva. So he'll be coming back with that. And then Ryan and I are back on Monday morning. So God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith. Watch the replay. I think it's something you need to watch. Watch the replay. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good.